Welcome back, everybody. It's time for another episode of Closing the Wealth Gap, the only show that gives you real tips and ideas and stories. People struggling just like you. With a man who's seen it all, been there to help many, Tyrone French. Hey, Tyrone.
Hey, Paul. How are you today?
Well, I'm struggling. My voice is, we'll see if it's going to hang in there for the show here, but it's that time of year when I get colds and hoarse and whatnot. Is it always happens to me at the end of the year like this, too? So I wonder, is it something about the time of year, or am I just getting overloaded with all the stuff coming at me here?
Well, the weather's changing. You know, we had this rain, had all these fires and all this smoke, all this pollen, all the rain and everything, and then so things are changing.
Well, and
season changing, and
I think it has something to do about this time of year. As a boy, my dad would always make it a deal to use this time to look back. How'd you screw up, son? What could you have done better? He always thought of it in a negative term here. So maybe I'm just scared of this time of year, and it's like all the negativity comes out. I got a chance to change the world and become a new person next year somehow.
Well, it is the season. They say this is the most wonderful time of the year. It's around December, Christmas.
It can be, but it can also be the awful time of the year.
It's very stressful.
Yeah,
very stressful. So take care of yourself, buddy.
All right. Well, I am. I'm going to let you take a little more lead here today because my voice is strengthening. And your voice has been growing in this show, and I want it to continue that way. I know your audience wants it to continue that way. So what are we going to talk about today?
Today we're going to talk about something that it's a secret taboo, and it's network marketing. But before I get into that, though, I was trying to figure out and trying to ask myself, how do I bring more value to the listeners? Because people they're the time that they're spending listening to this podcast, to this show, they're never going to get that time back. And so I just want to make sure that I'm offering something that's useful, something that they can apply, and something that's valuable, something that they can take away with, and something that's going to work in their life.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what I'm going to ask for every time that you do one of these shows. Maybe the audience will agree. We'll get some feedback. Start by telling me a story. Tell me a story that brings the point into view, or from your life, or your friend's life, or somebody else's life, or your guest's life. If we could, stories are what we all crave these days. And out of the story, there's some wisdom, and then at the end, you can give us some facts and figures of how to fix things. I mean, so maybe you start by telling the problem. What's the problem we want to address today, and then tell me a story about it.
Well, I tell you what, we're all here, in a nutshell, as far as trying to help each other.
Yes.
Do unto others, you would have them do unto you. Treat people the way you want to be treated. So I have a story for you.
All right. Good.
I heard this story about heaven and hell, and it's not a long story, but I'll keep it as brief as possible. But a story about heaven and hell, and
stories don't have to be quick. We got 30 minutes here. I love good stories.
Well, in the heaven side, it was a lot of noise. You had two doors. One said heaven, one said hell. And it was in the heaven side, you thought it would be like, calm and, like relax, the harp music and everything. But
right.
No, they were in there partying, having a great time.
Really? Okay.
And so the issue was that
they're having a hell of a good time in the heaven side. Yeah.
In the hell side, it was like it was dead silence.
Mm.
No torture, no grimacing,
no screaming.
No screaming. It was so when you opened up the door to the heaven side, it was like, and both heaven and hell were identical, and it was a long banquet table, and every kind of food that you could ever imagine was on this table.
Mm.
And so you had the table settings and the beautiful flowers, and the colors weren't just colors. You could actually feel the colors. They were actually singing. All the food was just the most delicious food that you could ever imagine.
And
on both
sides,
both heaven and hell.
All right.
So when you went to the hell side, again, identical settings, food, the colors, everything was just beaming. So the difference was that the people in heaven and the people in hell, they had these arms that were made of spoons and forks, and they were 7 feet long.
Okay.
So on the hell side, again, same thing. They had these arms, spoons and forks, 7 feet long. The difference, Paul, is that the people in the heaven side, they realized that in order to take up this banquet, to eat of this feast, because their arms were so long, they couldn't use that 7-foot fork and spoon in front of them to eat. So what they had to do was reach across the table and feed the other person.
Oh,
and the people in hell didn't figure that out. So they sat there and they were literally starving to death.
In the midst of the most...
In the midst of the bounty, and couldn't figure out that all we had to do was reach over the aisle and help somebody.
Wow.
And that made all the difference in the world.
That's what you're trying to do with this show.
That's,
and so many others, yeah.
And again, that's what, with me trying to add value, we're here to help one another. And I'm here to share the knowledge and the experience that I've gathered to whereas maybe you don't have time. Maybe you don't have the wherewithal. Maybe you don't have the patience sometimes to try to figure out some of this stuff. Whereas I want to offer a show to whereas, hey, you were thinking about this. Here's another alternative. Here's an option. And take a look at this resource. Take a look at this website. Take a look at this app to whereas now you can actually have access to this information. Let me feed you until you're able to feed yourself.
I like that. So what do you want to feed us today? What's the bountiful feast that's before us that we can't see, that we can't partake in?
I tell you what, this morning I got a text message from a client of mine. And his question was like, well, how, because everybody's looking at the television, the S&P 500 is tanking right now. Stock market is tanking. And people are worried about their retirements. They're worried about their 401ks.
For those listening in the future, we're taping this in December of 2018 here, a rather tumultuous time for the market.
Yes. So I get a text message, and the guy wants to know, well, my 401k is taken, and let's say I start taking money out of my 401k. When I start taking money out for retirement, how is that money going to be taxed?
Yeah.
And so the guy's named Vincent, and he's from Marlboro, Maryland, and I knew he was from Marlboro, Maryland, but I didn't really think about putting two and two together. I said, so you're literally the Marlboro man.
The Marlboro man. Yeah, I didn't know there was a Marlboro, Maryland.
Yeah, but anyway, I kind of digress a little. But again, the issue was that how people were worried about their 401ks, and they're thinking about retirement, and they're thinking about running out of money, and because everything is so volatile, they may start out with a certain amount in retirement, but then that's not what they're going to end up with.
No.
Then they're going to have to pay all these fees and all these taxes. So coming in today, I was thinking it's like, well, there's a secret out there. There's a secret business platform that's kind of taboo, and a lot of people don't think about it, or if they do think about it, they've been turned off by their friends and relatives. But it's called network marketing.
Oh, no, that's a bad one.
And matter of fact, I even had a guest on one of the shows. He was saying that network marketing is something that a lot of people don't succeed in it. And
you mean like Amway and those kinds of things, multi-level marketing?
Multi-level marketing or Mary Kay or whatever.
Yeah, right.
But here's the thing, Paul. I have a network marketing company that I've been associated with for about 14 years. This company has been in business over 40 years. And I'm not going to plug the company. It's not a shameless plug or anything. But I believe in this investment philosophy so with all of my being, because the returns that I'm getting, case in point, I had a stockbroker through LinkedIn, and he wanted to communicate with me. And the guy said, well, hey, look, if you invest $1,000 a month into this program, then and we can't project how much money you're going to get back. We can't do that.
Yeah,
but
sure.
On average, the stock market is like a 10% return. And I said, well, that's fine. I said, but let's say I take $100 or $500 and I put that money back into my own business, and I turn around and I get 100% return in 30 days. And not only that, but I control those dollars, and I'm not paying any fees to do that.
And those dollars might produce more dollars. It's not just an investment in your business continues to grow. You're feeding your business. You're feeding yourself. An investment in a fund might have an annuity, a rate that it goes up, and it might, yes, I know it might multiply over time, compound interest and stuff, but you're not necessarily changing the trajectory of that company
But the issue was that he didn't have a comeback for it.
Yeah.
And so what he did was just hit commode flush and like next, because it's a numbers game for these guys.
Yeah.
So
right.
so the
next.
Right.
Oh, you're gonna ask your question next.
Right. So the issue was, if you take control, if you manage your own money, you start managing your own finances, you become creative based on the return that you're looking for. So again, what people are looking at today is they're concerned about their retirements. They're concerned that, hey, look, I've been working on this job for 20, 30 years.
Amen. Number one fear we all have as we get old. I'm an aging baby boomer. Is I'm going to live longer than I've ever thought. Well, how am I going to pay for it?
And so the two motivators are fear and then greed. So if you start looking at your time horizon, thinking that you don't have a whole lot of time left,
right,
then you're going to try to find certain type of vehicles or investments that's giving you the greatest return for your money, because you don't have a whole lot of money and you don't have a whole lot of time, so you want to maximize it. But when you do that, you assume more risk.
That's what I was going to say. I want to make up for lost time, but I can't gamble wildly because I can't afford to lose.
Right. So let me tell you why I got started with network marketing.
Okay.
And again, I'm not trying to push this on anybody.
And then tell me why do you feel so strongly about it? What is it about it that works for you and might work for others?
Robert Kiyosaki wrote this book, and it's called The Business of the 21st Century.
Okay. Is that the same guy that did Rich Dad, Poor Dad?
Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Okay.
I'm a great fan of Robert Kiyosaki. As a matter of fact, my book, Closing the Wealth Gap, I dedicated it to Robert Kiyosaki. Because he's the one that really kind of opened my eyes. Actually, let me take a little bit further back.
Okay.
There was a guy named Charles Givens. I don't know if you've ever heard of Charles Givens.
I never heard of, no.
This was back in the late 70s, early 80s. He wrote this book called Wealth Without Risk. Well, it wasn't without too much risk, because the guy ended up going to jail.
It was a little risk for somebody.
Yeah, but I think he got caught like tax evasion or something like that. But that's not the point I'm trying to make. The point that I'm trying to make is that he put out this book, and he was talking about sales, direct sales. And at the time, I had just gotten out of the military, and I was working for this big aerospace company in Long Beach. And I was quality assurance administrator, making great money. But Paul, I hated my job. I hated what I did.
Yeah.
And I would wake up in the morning just with this in my stomach that I got to go and spend 8 hours doing something that I literally hated. So I got this book, Wealth Without Risk, and they were talking about business and investments, and one of the chapters was talking about direct sales. So I started going to these workshops and going to these seminars about direct sales. Matter of fact, I ended up at a seminar one time for fiber optics.
Fiber optics. Wow, that sounds like the old, I'm old enough to remember the movie The Graduate, where he comes out of school and they say, okay, kid, what should you do? Plastics.
Yeah, exactly.
That became a line for 20 years, plastics.
And let me tell you my intelligence level back then. I was like, well, fiber optics, that's never going to work.
Yeah, that's dumb.
Yeah, who would invest in something like that? Now all communication is based on fiber optics.
Yeah.
So anyway, got into direct sales. And when I got to the point where I just had my aha moment when I just realized that I didn't need to be in this place anymore. So I ended up leaving this cushy job, and I applied for a position with New York Life Insurance Company on Wilshire Boulevard. And I got the position and became an agent. And I remember I was on Wilshire Boulevard, and I was on the 9th floor, and I looked out, and it was like, wow, I envisioned this. I've arrived. But a lot of times you get the vision, but you don't see the work behind it.
No.
But the thing is, because
it's like watching a movie. You go to a movie and you say, that's a beautiful movie. What a great story. You don't realize the years it took to produce
You don't see the backdrop. You don't see the sets. You don't see anything.
Right.
You don't see all the mistakes that were made. They're giving you a polished product.
Yeah, they edited it all down to perfection.
Exactly. So, make a long story short, I found out not only did I have aptitude for finance, but I absolutely love what I do. And I've been doing this over 20 years now, and I can't see myself doing anything else. So
I got to stop you. So what do you love about it?
I love the fact that you can take it. Finance is a bunch of systems, and to be able to find somebody and solve that, because you got the problem and you have the solution. You're providing the service, and then they're looking for the answers. So they're going to provide or give you a reward based on that service that you're providing. And the thing is, consumers may have an idea of what they want, but they don't have a conception of how to put it together.
No, that's why they come to you. Yeah.
That's why they come to us. So based
So are
on,
you like the scientist that somehow gets to figure out this problem? Each one is a unique problem, and you get to solve it?
what I found, Paul, is every problem is really the same. It's just the individual that's different and how they perceive the problem. So just like you look at a product, I'm not going to mention any particular product, but you got a product, and that product does one thing, and it does one thing only, and it does it well. But you may find somebody else that they have a situation, and they're trying to solve this situation, but they're never going to think about using that product. As a matter of fact, I'll just mention just like life insurance.
Yeah, I'm lost. You got to help me out.
Let's say we say life insurance. Nobody wants to buy life insurance. Nobody. That's the last thing. As a matter of fact, it's the hardest thing in the world to sell.
Because you don't get anything out of it. It's after you die. It's for some day you don't even want to think about.
Exactly. So what people say is, I want to solve this problem based on I don't want to work. I have a hard time saving money. I don't want to work all of my life. I want to make sure that when I stop working, I have X amount of dollars coming in every single month. And then when I leave, I want to leave a legacy, something to my family so that they don't have to take the responsibility to put me away.
Everybody feels that.
So you never talk about, in that situation, you're using life insurance to solve that problem, but you're not talking about life insurance. What you're saying is that, hey, look, I'm a life insurance agent. We have whole life, universal life term, and blah, blah, blah. Based on what you just told me, there's a product called whole life insurance or universal life. If you want to save money with you just making the premium payments, it creates an automatic savings plan, which is called cash value in the policy. Now, again, you're not really communicating all this to the client. You just know that there's a product out there that's gonna check off every box that they have.
List those again. What are the 3 or 4 things everybody wants?
What they want, let's say they want a savings. They want to establish themselves a savings plan.
Can't save. They want to save.
They want to make sure that when they stop working, they have an income stream coming in for retirement.
Annuity, right?
They want to make sure that when they pass away, they leave. It's called a legacy. They want to make sure that they're not leaving that financial burden on their family.
Right.
So the only product that can do that. Oh, and also, by the way, when they start the product or when they start their plan, they want it to materialize immediately, meaning that they want it to self-complete.
Now you got me on that. I'm not sure what that means.
When you start a 401k or an IRA or whatever it is, you're thinking about 20 years down the road. So you want to make sure that that plan is going to be there 20 years down the road.
Right.
So they're already thinking that their plan is completed. When somebody, let's say somebody puts down, they're paying $500 a month for an IRA or 401k. And let's say they died after 2 months. Well, that IRA or 401k is going to have $1,000 in it if they did $500 a month.
I see. Right.
Let's say, again,
it takes 20 years.
Takes 20 years, 30 years.
Accumulate, right.
Same thing, same scenario with a life insurance product, meaning that they checked off all the boxes, but they want the plan to self-complete. The only product that can do that is a life insurance policy, because when somebody passes away, it creates an immediate income tax-free estate.
Whether you've been paying for 1 month or 100 years.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. So if I walked up to somebody and said, hey, look, I'm a life insurance agent and I got all this life insurance and I want to sell you a life insurance policy, they'll say, hey, take a hike. I don't have time. I don't want to listen to you.
Right.
But when they start telling me what their problems are, and I say, well, the solution to everything that you just told me is this life insurance product.
It's this thing. You don't even
this thing right here.
You don't have to know what it's called or anything, but I got a thing that can help you fix that problem.
Right. So once they find out that it's life insurance that we're talking about, then they start telling their brother, their sister, their cousin, everybody about this life insurance product that they have. And their family is the same thing. Hey, I'm not interested in life insurance, but you got to listen to this guy.
Well, because we all want to ensure that our life goes well, but we don't want something called life insurance because we have a perception of that that's negative. It's not sexy. It's not fun. It's not stimulating. It's not exciting. Nobody wants to talk about it. So I want to ensure my life goes well. Why wouldn't I want to buy something called life insurance?
It's just a negative. It's the negative conditioning that people had actually been acclimated to. But anyway, that's not what I really want to talk about today.
Well, that's an example of what I think you want to talk about today, which is network.
Which is network marketing.
Right. Which again, and I'm sorry, has a
negative connotation
Right.
until people find out that it checks off every single block that they're looking for. So, case in point, let's say if somebody wanted they want to invest in real estate.
Okay.
And so let's say they wanted to have a duplex, and they were going to live in one side of the duplex, and they were going to rent out the other side.
Okay.
Well, the first thing that they need to do is they need to buy the property. So depending on what part of the country they're in, let's say if they had to come up with $400,000.
Okay.
Okay. Now they got this property, and they're paying for the insurance and their taxes and everything. They got the mortgage on there, but they decide to rent out one portion of the duplex, which is actually going to pay the mortgage payment.
Right.
So let's say after all their expenses and everything, they cleared $1,500. Fast forward to network marketing. Most network, and again, it's in Robert Kiyosaki wrote this book, The Business of the 21st Century. And when I read this book, it literally changed my life.
Things lit up.
It just lit up because for a small dollar amount, let's say less than $100, somebody can actually start a network marketing company. And network marketing or multi-level marketing is based on people wanting to start a business. They want to create wealth from that business, which they want to generate an income producing asset. And what that means is that you want to put something in place to where you have money coming in whether you work or not.
Right.
That's what constitutes wealth. So one of the best ways to do that here in the 21st century is through network marketing. Because again, let's say you put up $100 and now you're in business.
Right.
Now you're finding other people that not really necessarily want to buy your product or your service, because when you talk about the Amways or the Mary Kays or a lot of times, or the Herbalife and things like that, people start talking about product. And what Robert Kiyosaki in his book was saying, well, it's not necessarily the product, it's the system that you're putting together. Let me make it a case in point. When you really understand network marketing, the product sells itself.
Because the product is what? The franchise opportunity, not a franchise, but the opportunity to open your own business?
It's the opportunity to open your own business. But again, let's say you become an affiliate with that particular with that company. And you paid your money. Now you're affiliate. Now you buy the product. Like for me, I sell life insurance. So life insurance is a product.
Right.
So when somebody buys that policy based on their needs, their individual needs, they're going to pay a monthly premium every single month just to get the benefit of having that policy or the peace of mind that if something were to happen, that's there.
Clearly, that's the idea of insurance. You pay something today to cover something that might or might not happen tomorrow.
Exactly. So everybody's not dying at the same time. So what happens to all those premiums that the insurance companies are collecting? It goes into a giant reserve.
Yeah, right.
And so
they invest it.
And they invest it. And so what they do is they take a portion of that, depending on what kind of policy you have, they take a portion of that money and they give it back to the policyholders. It's called a cash value. Well, they call it a dividend. A dividend is nothing more than a return of premium, meaning that the excess premium that they didn't have to use for an expense ratio, they give it back.
That's interesting. I never really thought of it. So let me just see if I got this right. So big insurance company sells a bunch of life insurance policies. They project so many people are going to die and they're going to have to pay out this much money. They hopefully collected a lot more than they have to pay out. That excess that they have, they can invest it and try and grow it.
Yes.
Or they can take some of it and return it back to the investors, basically, the people who are paying into this fund to protect their life and others. And it's sort of like a dividend. It's a cash back. We outperformed, so we're going to give everybody a little thank you, a little bit of your money back.
Right. So the policy may have a guaranteed interest rate on there. Now, dividends or return of premiums, those are not guaranteed, but based on the track record of the company, they can pretty much project
historically what they've done,
what they're going to do. So go back to network marketing, where a lot of these companies, and you're looking at a product, and people are buying these products to start their business. So the issue is, once they start their business and they have this product, they continue to pay on this product every single month. Now, if you're making, let's say you're spending $25 or $30 or $50 a month for this product to do business. But if you're making $500, $1,000, $5,000 a month, then the cost of doing business to pay that $25 or that $50 is automatically going to be taken care of, meaning that the person's not going to stop buying that product, or they're not going to stop using that product.
The customers that you're selling
The
to?
customers that you're selling to, because the money, you're making money in the process. So you took $100 or $500 to start a business, which is tax deductible.
Right. And then you build a base of customers.
Now you build a base of customers based on, again, not trying to go out and find 5 or 10 people, but trying to find one person that wants to make some extra money, that wants to create wealth. They want to create an income producing asset where they have money coming in every single. That's the mindset that you're looking for.
Right.
You're not looking for somebody that want to make, they want to go out and sell stuff. Because most people don't like sales.
Yeah,
They're
right,
conditioned
exactly.
to hate sales. But here's the thing. Here's a secret. Everybody is a salesperson. You have to sell just to get your kids to go to sleep at a certain time at night.
Yeah, yeah.
You have to sell. Some wives have to sell their husbands to spend time with them, to go to the mall with them.
Yeah, she has to work hard on that one.
Right. So the issue is, it's not the point that most people, they buy the things that they really want, but they have to be sold the things that they need.
Ooh, wait, say that one again. I like that one.
Most people, most consumers, because we are consumers, because that's how the companies look at us as consumers.
We're a capitalist society here. We're all taught to consume. We want to consume.
But you have people buy the things that they really want, but they have to be sold the things that they need. So that's why life insurance is one of the hardest things to sell, because a lot of people don't think that they need it. They don't want it until they find themselves in a position to whereas it becomes a necessity.
Well, a want is something that you either have an immediate, Maslow's hierarchy of needs. You
Yes.
start with just being able to survive and stay alive. So you got to eat, you got to have shelter, you got to have food. And then beyond that, what do you do with the surplus? Well, the things that you want, the things that make you feel good, the things you aspire to be like, the clothes, the cars, the other things that put a smile on your face. But the things farther off that are going to really affect your life or change your life, those are investments. And investments don't pay off immediately. And we're little kids, so we want an immediate payoff.
They want that immediate, that short-term gratification.
Right.
So kind of look at it like this. A lot of people are buying liabilities, things that are not going to put money into their pockets, but if they feel good.
Right.
Short term, they feel great
It may
about
actually cost you money. You got to fix that car. You got to store these things. You got to do something with it, unless it's just a little simple item. The bigger it is, the more it's going to have an ongoing cost to you.
That's right, but you have to be sold an asset. See, your house could be either a liability or asset just based on how it's structured, but somebody sold it to you. Somebody and they'll look at it. They'll say, my house is my biggest investment. It's my biggest investment, but somebody had to sell you on that idea, or sell you that property, or sell you on that mortgage.
And they probably didn't sell it to you based on how much it would accumulate and what its annual return would be.
Not their job.
They sold it to you because the school is next door, because it's a safe neighborhood.
Exactly.
Because there's a pie baking in the oven and you can picture yourself living here. It's an immediate gratification.
And a lot of times that beautiful dream it turns into a nightmare. So again, it goes back to that story as far as people, they spent all this money to buy this property to get $1,500 a month versus taking maybe $100 or $500 to start a business to create an income producing asset that's going to generate the same amount of income, whether it's $1,500, $3,000, whatever it is, whatever the income level that you're looking for. Just like I'm a businessman, I'm a business owner. My income is unlimited. It's based on the amount of activity that I want to put in, or based on the system that I put in place.
Or how successful that system is and you are in selling those things.
Exactly. But I made absolutely sure that my business is based on, it's a numbers game. I just operate a system, and my job is just to make sure that system is in place. That's one of the reasons why I chose insurance, is because Most people, insurance, what can you do without insurance? Nothing. Can you drive a car?
No, that's
Can you own
true.
a home?
My first answer was you said I can do anything without any insurance. I can, but
You definitely,
no.
you definitely don't want to get sick without insurance.
Yeah.
You don't want to have an operation without insurance.
Yeah, that's true.
You don't want to drive a car without insurance.
I don't want to face that fact. I don't want the reality to be that I have to think of the future. I want to live for today, especially my generation. That was our whole mantra. Live for today, live for the moment. But I think that's been our fear and our failing as we get older. We haven't planned for the future. We didn't realize how long we were going to live and what the cost of things were going to be. And now we're afraid that we've run out of time.
And that's that, Paul, it's a mindset. But again, there's an evolutionary process that's going on right now. The paradigm is shifting right now.
It sure is.
And people can feel it. They may not be able to articulate it, but they feel it in the air. They know that something is changing.
Physically, economically, emotionally, climate-wise, whatever, everything around us seems to be changing.
Yes, yes. So how do you evolve with that change? And like I said, nobody really wants to talk about it. It's a taboo subject, but network marketing is again, I've been doing this for over 14 years. It's one of the best investments that I've ever made based on a return. We call it ROI, return on your investment.
Yeah, right.
For a small upfront cost, you can literally change your life in a matter of not thinking about 20 years of retirement, but you can actually, with network marketing, realistically, you can retire in 2 to 3 years.
Wow. Well, you're going to have to come back and tell us more how, because that's it's tantalizing. I'm not sure I quite get it or get over my objections to it, and I'd love to get some questions and have people answer. Maybe that's it. Maybe they write into you and say, okay, I heard what you said. Now here's what I've heard. And answer all the negatives.
And why? Why would I do this? And I've heard this, I heard that. But again, I want to create that dialogue because the name of my show is Closing the Wealth Gap. And a lot of people, they don't understand what wealth is. So we have to define that for them.
So where can they write in or send you if they want to email a question? Let's do that. Let's do a follow-up segment and send in your questions. You've heard his pitch. Do you believe it? If not, what have you heard otherwise?
Send me an email at Tyrone@TyroneFrench.com. That's Tyrone@TyroneFrench.com. You can actually call my office, 562-498-4316. Or just go to www.TyroneFrench.com, and the number one way to reach me is through my app, www.TyroneFrench.app. I would love to show you the numbers. I'd love to go through the dialogue with you and just show you that there's another alternative out there other than 401k, IRA, spending 20, 30 years, buy stock, with assuming all the risk and not getting any of the rewards. There's another way.
Another way to close the wealth gap. That's
Yes.
what we're here to tell you about. All right, that'll be a fascinating show. Let's have everybody send in some questions, and we'll do a follow-up show, and I'll read off the questions, and you answer them. We're gonna put you on the hot seat. See if you can change our negative thinking about network marketing.
Looking forward to it.
There is another way to close the wealth gap. That's what we're here to talk about. Ideas, information, real-life examples, how you can change your life. Right here in Orange County's only community radio station, OCTalkRadio.net.